in Minnesota. And my question is, how can you protect the integrity of our vote when there's no paper trails? These are all on computers. And I would feel more comfortable that people, even in smaller counties, have an option to at least have a paper ballot. I would like to know how you guys are protecting our systems, because there's been severe problems in Waukesha where they were hanging tapes from the wall. Now that might not have been a touchscreen voting machine, but it goes to show that if there's not a control put in place, that problems are going to happen. And it's been shown down, I think it was in Florida, that machines can be hacked for $26. I have a serious problem walking in knowing that these machines exist, and these are computers. Hand count paper ballots, you weigh them and you divide them by the weight of one ballot. Ireland uses them, as you see. So what can Wisconsin do in order to make us feel comfortable? We've been through heck this year, and we have to be able to set precedents for the rest of America to know that there's some integrity in our voting system. That's why Ireland does not allow these machines, so why can't, I mean, I know you guys are here for demonstration, but we're all here because most of us want a message sent that we want an option other than touchscreen votings. And my main concern is, how can you guarantee that somebody's not going to hack it, that Command Central isn't going to charge money out the wazoo in order to retain those open records requests? We as citizens deserve to know the truth, and there's people that volunteer their time that don't get paid for it to read the hand count votes, and that's my main issue. So I guess my main question to you is, how can you guarantee that there's not going to be somebody hacking it, and that the data's not going to be lost, and that we'll have access to those records, and why open records requests so far, some of them haven't even been answered?
Three things. First is, state law does require a paper trail. So when you're talking about the touchscreen system not having a paper trail, that's not
the same thing. If it's hacked, that doesn't mean anything.
But that's the official ballot per 5.91 if there was a recount, or I should say 5.90 of the state statutes. If there is a recount, that paper trail is the official ballot, and that is utilized by election inspectors that are conducting the recount, so that would be verified. Secondly, in order to require a hand count, we would require statutory change, because again, we have the requirement in state law that municipalities over 7,500 in population are required, mandated per state law, to utilize electronic voting equipment. There's numerous processes that the GAB, county clerks, and municipalities take leading up to the election, on election day, following the election, to ensure security, and those are outlined in Chapter 5 of our administrative rules.
But how can those results be given back to the public so that I can go back if I voted on a touchscreen machine and find my vote and make sure that it registers? Those are things that I have a question with, and that still doesn't answer my question of, what happens if somebody goes in and hacks that machine or gets into the coding, because that's an absolute possibility.
Well, there are, like I said, there are numerous security procedures. We haven't ever seen any situation where a member of the public, even election officials, have hacked into voting equipment. We did have a statewide recount following 2011, where every ballot was reviewed by both members of the parties. They were provided the opportunity to visually inspect. That recount showed the results were verifiable and accurate.
That says you said it hasn't happened yet. I'm asking about protecting our vote in the event that it actually occurs.
And there are numerous.
How are you going to protect that from hackers? And what if that, any of that data can be corrupted if a hacker gets in there in real time? And to my understanding, when you have a machine and you have Command Central that's up in Minnesota right now, they're actually denying, or I shouldn't say denying open records, but some of them have not even been answered. So sometimes even getting a hold of that data is an issue within itself.
But there are processes. With any good government, there has to be documented processes. In this case, there are. And it's through our security procedures, which only allows authorized users to access these memory devices and access these voting equipment.
They access this unauthorized. That's what I'm asking is, how can you maintain integrity when these are machines? Any computer can be hacked. It's a computer. It's got programming. It's got data. It has to be connected somehow. That's what I'm asking is, how can we make sure that there is integrity in that data?
And I think that through the processes that we currently have in place, one thing I did not mention is the post-election audit requirement. That is also mandated by state law, that following the November general election, the GAB, municipalities are required to do hand counts of municipalities for every voting system that is utilized in the state of Wisconsin to ensure those municipalities and the voting equipment used in those places properly count votes. We're required to do that in 2010, 2008, 2006, and again in 2012 following the presidential election. Through those post-election audits, we have seen the results of the voting equipment has been accurate and verifiable. And again, with all the recounts that we've had in this state in the last 4 or 5 years, they again have shown that the results have all been verifiable as well.